Let's jump right in. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are totally geeking out over Unit 3, Phonology. We're pulling this straight from the foundational texts of language teaching, so, if you love discovering exactly how language works on a purely mechanical level, you are absolutely in the right place. Here's our game plan for today. 1. Phonology and key concepts. 2. Vowels, diphthongs, and consonants. 3. Word and sentence stress. 4. Connected speech and intonation. 5. The language teaching classroom. And 6. Practice and discovery activities.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Phonology and Key Concepts.
Okay, so the absolutely crucial starting point here is grasping two core definitions. Phonology is basically just the study of the sound features we use in a language to communicate meaning. And what exactly are those features? Well, they include phonemes. A phoneme is literally the smallest unit of sound that can make a difference to meaning. For instance, think about the S in the word books. That sound shows that something is plural, right? That little S carries meaning, which makes it a phoneme. And this perfectly illustrates how languages differ. In English, telling the difference between S and sh is super vital. It's the only thing separating words like so and show or sock and shock. But get this, in Cantonese, you can use either the S or sh sound without changing the word's meaning at all. So in Cantonese, they're not two separate phonemes. Pretty cool, right?
Now, thinking about the phonemic chart, here's the magic of it. Every single one of these symbols represents exactly one phoneme, just one sound. It's totally different from our written alphabet. In written English, the letter A is all over the place. It can be the A sound in hat, the A sound in made, or even that weak sound in usually. But with this chart, there's no guessing. You know exactly what the correct pronunciation is. Moving right along to Section 2, Vowels, Diphthongs, and Consonants.
So the chart groups these sounds super logically. If you look up at the top left-hand corner, you'll find the vowels. These are sounds you make with your mouth partly open, where the air just flows without being stopped by your tongue, lips, or teeth. Then slide over to the top right-hand corner, and you've got the diphthongs. This is basically a movement from one vowel sound to another, all packed into a single syllable. Think of the vowel sound in words like make or so. And finally, the bottom 3 rows are home to the consonants. This is where the flow of air actually gets partly blocked by your tongue, your lips, or your teeth.
But wait, there's more to those consonants. They're actually arranged based on exactly how and where in the mouth you pronounce them, and crucially, whether they are voiced or unvoiced. So voiced sounds use the literal vibration of your vocal cords. Try saying B, D, or G out loud. You can literally feel the vibration in your throat. Unvoiced sounds, on the other hand, are spoken without that vibration. Sounds like P, T, or K. The breath just sort of flows right out. All right, let's get into Section 3, Word and Sentence Stress. When we put word stress on a specific syllable, we're saying it with way more energy. It's usually higher pitched, and we drag out that vowel sound a bit more. Think about where the stress lands in the words pencil or children. Now, the other syllables, we kind of gloss over them with way less energy. These unstressed, weak syllables get shortened, or sometimes they practically disappear altogether. A textbook example of this is the vowel sound in the last syllable of the word important. It shrinks down to what we call a schwa, which is represented by that little upside-down E symbol, ah.
And it's not just words. Stress heavily dictates how whole sentences sound in English. Usually one word grabs the primary or main stress, while a few others get secondary stress. These stresses almost always land on content words. We're talking nouns, verbs, adverbs, adjectives, basically the words carrying the actual information. Structural words like prepositions and articles usually just fade into the background. Take this sentence, for example. The girl ran to the sea and jumped in quickly. The content words girl, ran, see, jumped, and quickly. They naturally carry the rhythm and weight of the whole sentence.
But of course, there are exceptions, and this perfectly highlights what we call contrastive stress. Literally, just putting the stress on an unexpected word can completely flip the meaning of the sentence. Listen to how this changes. If I say, the girl ran to the sea, I'm really emphasizing that she went towards it, not away from it. If I say, the girl ran to the sea, I'm making it clear she didn't run to the park or anywhere else. And if I say, the girl ran to the sea and jumped in quickly, I'm stressing that she didn't do it slowly or carefully. Which brings us to Section 4, Connected Speech and Intonation. So, that sentence stress we just talked about, it's a huge part of connected speech. Connected speech is just how we naturally talk, where all the words sort of blur together into a continuous stream of sounds. Some other big features here are contractions, saying don't instead of do not, or haven't. We also do a lot of vowel shortening in unstressed words. This creates those weak forms we mentioned earlier,
like hearing that tiny schwa sound, in the phrase at home. These little shortcuts are essential because they're what keep the regular, natural rhythm of English speech bouncing along. Another massive part of keeping that speech smooth is linking. This is when we physically join words together at their boundaries instead of chopping them up and saying each one separately. You'll hear this a ton when a consonant sound bumps right up against a vowel sound, like in the phrases up above or did it. It also happens when two vowel sounds collide. When that happens, we actually sneak in a tiny linking sound, like the little wuss sound you hear when you say go away. And then we have the whole world of intonation, which is basically the musical tune of a sentence. Intonation reveals our emotions, our attitudes, or exactly what function our sentence is supposed to serve. Let's try this together. Say, school's just finished with me. If it's just a boring statement of fact, it gets a falling tone. School's just finished. But if it's a question, your voice rises at the end. School's just finished? And if you're super surprised, you'll probably use a fall-rise tone. School's just finished? Same exact words, completely different meanings, just from the rising and falling patterns of your voice. All right, moving to Section 5, the language teaching classroom.
Since English is spoken all over the globe, it is super important for learners to hear recordings of accents from all kinds of places. In the classroom, making pronunciation a regular focus is just absolute key. A great trick is using activities focused on minimal pairs. These are pairs of words that differ by literally just one phoneme. Think ship and sheep, or hat and hut. Also, keeping a phonemic chart on the classroom wall is an amazing hack for on-the-spot correction. But a quick pro tip, teachers usually only introduce these symbols a few at a time so students don't get totally overwhelmed.
And finally, Section 6, Practice and Discovery Activities. Okay, let's put this into practice and check out some exact test questions from the source material. Let's see how well we've absorbed all this phonology goodness.
Let's tackle question 1 together. Which word contains a schwa sound in connected speech? A, fantastic, B, expert, or C, photograph? Think back to what we just went over about those unstressed, weak syllables getting shortened. Try saying them out loud to yourself right now to see if you can spot that hidden sound.
Awesome! Let's keep the momentum going and move right along to the next batch of questions in the practice task.
Check out question 4. Which set of words is a minimal pair? A, sync and single, B, these and those, or C, there and there. Remember that classroom example of ship and sheep? You're hunting for two words that are separated by just one single phoneme difference. Let's do one more. Question 5. Which set of words has linking in connected speech? A, fish and chips, B, baby boy, or C, nice food? Go ahead and test those word boundaries out loud. Where does one sound naturally bleed into the next one to keep the whole phrase flowing smoothly?
You've honestly done a fantastic job wrapping your head around some pretty complex phonological concepts today. We've conquered everything from individual phonemes all the way up to connected speech and intonation. So I want to wrap up our explainer today by leaving you with this one very practical thought to chew on. How will you actually use the phonemic chart and all these specific sound features we discussed to level up the pronunciation in your very next lesson? Keep practicing, keep training your ear to hear those subtle sounds, and I will see you in the next explainer.